Hi there guys, it's James Alex Flynn and welcome to another Skyrim DLC news update. Just a quick note to warn you, there won't be any gameplay or any real visuals in this video, so just feel free to have this on in the background while you're doing something else. And if you don't want to listen to it all, just skip to about the last 2 minutes where I talk about my top predictions and top features that I think will be in the second Skyrim DLC. So I was thinking the other day about what the new Skyrim DLC could be about. I mean, we know absolutely nothing at the minute, and anything that I've talked about in my other videos is just purely speculation. We know it might be called Hearthfire, and we know it might involve something like the Sigix or some kind of magical conjuration magic, something like that. But again, that's just purely speculation. But I was thinking about how they brought about Dawnguard. And I remembered that it came about as a result of this game jam that they did. And if you go back and watch it, you can see all the things that were included in Dawnguard. So it got me thinking, two things. Maybe we'll have to wait for another game jam and just completely speculate that a lot of things in the game jam will be in the second Skyrim DLC. Or they have taken some of the additions or creations that they came up with during the game jam in 2011 and reserved them for the second Skyrim DLC. So I then thought, if it's the latter and they've reserved some, I went back and watched the video and basically crossed off on a huge list everything that was in Dawnguard. So I now have a list of all the items that they came up with in the game jam that they released that weren't in Dawnguard, and I'll just talk about them briefly and explain and give you my opinion about what might be in the next DLC. But yeah, just see what you think. So there are a lot of things on this list, so what I'm going to do is split them up into sections. I've got one section which I think are just going to be included in small updates. The other section are things that I just don't think are going to be included at all. And the final section is things that I think could possibly be in the next DLC, or at least some additions that would seem plausible. So this section is about all the features that might be included as small updates. So to start, seasonal foliage. Nice idea, but you can't really base a DLC on it. Flow-based water shader was a really good feature as well. Guards relight dark areas, just a nice addition to the AI. Paralysis runes, again, just another addition. New follower commands. Now this was a nice rehaul. Gave followers new abilities, new commands. You could get them to train, get them to equip the items that you wanted. And snow footprints would be quite nice, I guess. So these features all seem like they would fit quite well into the Skyrim game, so I would bet that they would be introduced in either small updates or along with the next DLC. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about things that were included in the game jam, but that I don't think will be included in updates or DLCs. So one of the things they showed off at the game jam were stealth enhancements, but I don't really think this can be incorporated into Skyrim because that would probably involve creating a Assassin's Guild or something, and we already have that with the Dark Brotherhood. Adoption was another interesting thing, but it seems a bit gimmicky and a bit silly, really. Building your own home was another feature. It looks really cool, but I'm not sure how it would work, and I think it would be a bit out of character. Goblins seem unlikely because they're supposed to be extinct since the 3rd era, Skyrim being set in the 4th era. As for fast travel waygates, there's not really a need for them as you can just fast travel using the map anyway. Werebears were a really interesting feature, but I think it would be, again, a bit gimmicky if they just had another DLC with a different form, be a bit samey. At the very end of the game jam, they showed off this massive giant mud crab coming out of the sand. And it looked really good. They looked like there had been a lot of hard work that went into it, but again, it looked a bit too gimmicky, and there's absolutely no lore associated with giant mud crabs. I've even tried doing research and I couldn't find anything, so I doubt that as well. As for dragon mounts, I think getting on a dragon and flying over a mountain really takes away the whole scale that Skyrim offers. So I think producing mounts that enable you just to fly over the Skyrim landscape seems a bit counterproductive. So now we're on to the interesting section, which are things that I think are quite plausible to be in the DLC, so keep listening. So the first one, spears. We know there was a slight focus in Dawnguard on the use of crossbows, so it's not entirely unbelievable that they may introduce a DLC that has a focus on another type of weapon. The other addition, which I thought was a really nice feature, were dungeon enhancements. So that would introduce things like hanging structures, movable platforms, and water currents. So this is a really nice idea, but it's not likely to come as an update, because it would involve a complete rehaul of a lot of the dungeons in Skyrim. So what would be much easier is if they added a new location to the game, in a DLC, and then just installed these dungeon enhancements to those. I personally think it would work really well. I'm not saying they would create an entire DLC just to put the dungeon enhancements in, but I am saying that I think we might expect dungeon enhancements to play some part in the next DLC. So the final addition that I thought was really interesting, that is probably the most likely as well, is the addition of spell combinations. So in the video they combined Flame with Raise Zombie, which conjured a Flame Atronach. Now I thought that it kind of makes the normal Conjure Flame Atronach spell a bit redundant if you can just conjure it, combining the two spells, and vice versa actually. So maybe not combining spells to create spells that already exist within the game, but I thought perhaps they may take that idea and combine spells that exist already in the game, but to create really powerful new spells that aren't in Skyrim at the minute. That would also be consistent with the current speculation that it's going to be about some kind of conjuration magic, well, some kind of magic anyway, performed by the Psijics or witches. So I think that's pretty exciting. I also think it would work really well. It would be quite interesting, combining spells. And yeah, so that's my number one prediction. Well, that's about it. Thanks guys for sticking with me. And that was quite a long video. I didn't mean it to go on this long, so I'm sorry about that. But there was a lot of information, and I just get quite excited talking about things that could be in the next DLC. But I hope you're excited about it too. If you liked the video, or, well, actually me speaking to you from a blank screen for about 10 minutes, then please like, comment, or subscribe. It really, really means a lot to me. I appreciate all your comments and support. It's just great. But thanks guys, and I'll see you next time.